Bueno, welcome to this.
Well, no, welcome to you. How is Washington treating you?
All good.
Yeah.
I was telling Olavo that I was born in Washington because my father was working at the embassy when I was born. I've never asked for the American citizenship.
Well, I was about to say you probably have more claim to be president than Barack Obama.
Sure.
Provided, now, was your father working as a diplomat? Or
Yeah, as a diplomat. Yeah.
Because actually, if he was a diplomat, then as I understand it, if you're actually one of the people who have diplomatic immunity,
Yeah.
then if your children are born here, they are not U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
That's from a law that was first passed way back when the Republic was founded.
Uh-huh.
But if somebody is, in a non-diplomatic capacity, including consular officers and other people like this, their children benefit from use sold.
Uh-huh.
But
But
this thing doesn't make a lot of sense.
it's not the same as jus sanguinis.
No. In other words, these days, many of us believe this is a problem. It's not formally in the Constitution or the law. It's the result of a Supreme Court interpretation.
Oh.
But basically, if you are, under normal circumstances, born in the United States of America on our soil, then you are a citizen.
Yeah.
If you choose to be.
Yeah, of course.
But you have, at birth, a claim to U.S. citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even if both your parents are, sort of on vacation here.
Yeah. Whenever I go to the U.S. Embassy to ask for a visa, I bring all the documents they ask for, and they say, but you were born in Washington. Yeah, but I'm not interested in the citizen. Oh, here's your visa, don't show me nothing. Then my father came back again to the Venezuelan embassy in Washington, and I studied here for a couple of years in Washington. First in Virginia, and then in the city of Washington for 2 years. So I feel comfortable here. I like it. And we've had very good meetings. I think I'm going to be coming again at least a couple of times a year because of
I hope folks are listening to you, if you don't mind, especially so I don't forget it.
Uh-huh.
Let's send you a copy of it.
Yeah, but this would allow me to take little bits of it and put it on my podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I can do it very quickly when I get home. And it will be good because right now I'm kind of, among other things, at the center of an effort to get people to call things by their right names. We've lived in American politics for a long time with niceties. So people could get away with doing an awful lot in terms of policies.
Like you.
And if you have been in Europe, say, you would have called those policies socialist policies.
Uh-huh.
But in America, we call them liberals. And the only thing I've been able to figure out over the years, since the word liberal is derived from liber, which means free, right? And the only thing that strikes me as free about liberals is that they're free with other people's money.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they're called liberals, because they're generous with money that doesn't belong to them. But anyway, this is what we call them. And if you were in favor of spending programs and all these sorts of things, then you were a liberal. And we had a dispute with you, which was over the role of government, right? Should government do more? Should it do less? And so forth. Well, of course, what we are now seeing is a mad spending spree, yes. They are borrowing money in amounts that, at least in terms of just 1 year, are inconceivable. That they would actually, I think the national debt's going to increase by something like 40% just on the basis of the junk they're doing now. And we had a huge one to begin with, so by the time they're done, they will have spent several trillion dollars. Right? And even before they started this particular spending spree, we were all of a mind to believe that we didn't have any money. The government didn't have any money. So they have to borrow it all. And massive amounts of borrowing will take place. Mostly, I would think, from foreign governments, who will then become owners of the future of the country, I guess. But,
I understand the debt with China is pretty large.
right, and is likely to go up higher. I think we owe them close to $800 billion now, and it's likely to increase by another $400 billion. And China and Japan are the two largest holders of our debt as governments. And so we're in the midst of that. But if you look at the way it's being done, and this comes up, these people see it, but they refuse to add up the pieces, right? Because the stimulus, so-called bill that was just passed, is actually a bill that takes public money and uses it to fund the Obama machine. Is basically his political machine. This is something that has been done in Illinois and places like this at the city level, things of this kind in Chicago for a long time. Which is why when I went out there after 2004 running as a state, I commented to people that I thought I'd left the United States because the way that politics is done in Illinois reminded me of the descriptions, at least, of the way business is done in the Soviet Union, or was done. And that's because you didn't work with a government, really. You essentially were working with a party apparatus, and the government just kind of rubber stamped what it decided. Well, in various ways now, that's what Obama means to establish. And so we are no longer in some discussion, polite discussion over role of government. We're not even in a polite discussion over whether we're going to be socialist or free enterprise. We are actually now faced with a reality that if we continue down this path, we become a Soviet-style regime. And many things that he's doing, besides the money, several things that he's doing, suggest that that's the way he needs to go. And of course that comes as no surprise because that's his background. His formation, his education, his indoctrination, whatever you want to call it, it's all Marxist-Leninist. And what I find fascinating is that he's following it almost as if he's got a script up there saying, okay, first you do this, and then you do that.
It's such a little time that he's been in office.
Yes, it's amazing. It's so fast. And that tells me, especially, that he needs to kind of take the ball and run it. Because he knows that if he goes too slowly, the usual difficulties of government will rouse people before he's got all the pieces in his hands, right? And, I mean, I can say this to you, and I don't think it will seem outlandish. In a country as large and complex as this, right, it's not at all an easy proposition to simply walk in and change the form of government and impose a kind of despotism that people have never been used to. So you've got to do it by degrees.
Yeah.
And yet he also, I think, realizes he has to do it very quickly. So you first have to gather what would be the, how can I put it, the legal framework. Because what disarms Americans, what keeps Americans from acting, is the notion, well, that's legal. That's according to the law. They're just enforcing the law. They're just doing what is lawful. So if, in the first instance, you can stay within the perceived boundaries of lawful authority, whatever that might be, then nobody's going to move against it. They'll complain. They'll gather together for Chicago Tea Parties, right? At which people make speeches, look at each other, and then go home kind of thinking, well, I guess we did something. When, of course, they did nothing.